This presentation documents the journey of two social workers through the course of their career and provides an overview of their professional identity. We both chose to interview a social worker. The first half documents the social worker's career development and describes their current role.
The second part of the presentation highlights theories relevant to social care, which include threshold concepts, rural practice, dual relationships, burnout, and it then provides examples from the social worker's own experience of self-care and also reflecting on what they wish they had studied in college.
The first interviewee involved is a 44-year-old male. He first trained as a general nurse in the UK and then undertook a postgrad in mental health nursing. A few years later he moved home to Ireland and done a master's in social work in UCD.
The second social worker which I interviewed has been in the field for over 21 years. He has an honours degree and a master's in applied social studies and a diploma in social work. He started his career as a child duty protection officer in London, then going on to work with adults in the autism spectrum disorder, and now working with making recommendations to the court as the best interest for the child in custody and access disputes.
The first interviewee worked as a general staff nurse on a medical unit in the UK. When he successfully completed mental health nursing, he went on to work as a staff nurse in the mental health service in Galway. He then went on and worked 4 years in an acute psychiatric unit before deciding to pursue a career as a social worker, and now works in a medical centre.
Professional identity is defined as one's professional self-concept based on attributes, beliefs, values, motives, and experiences. One way that practitioners can explore their professional identity is through the lens of brand identity.
Both interviewees refer to developing their professional identities through the lens of the brand's identity, in terms of establishing a positive self-image and having an informed identity through knowing their role in the workplace and recognizing their limits. This is all done through the code of practice, ethics, and conduct.
Threshold concepts can be compared to a portal in the sense that it is a new and previously inaccessible way of thinking about something. It represents a transformed way of understanding, interpreting, or viewing something without which the learner cannot progress.
One of the social workers could identify with threshold concept. As a result of his experiences from working in the professional field, he has become more sensitive to how people present and have an awareness that this may not always be a true reflection of their reality.
Rural practice has been highlighted by PN 2007, who states that the biggest issue with working in a rural area is the higher risk of worker-client contact out of professional hours. This may then result in boundary issues and furthermore professionalism.
One interviewee recalled a time outside of work when he was accompanied by his family and a service user approached him, trying to seek comfort on advice. The interviewee handled this professionally, outlining he could not discuss such matters outside work, but looks forward to his next meeting.
Dual relationships may occur whenever a mental health professional or service user initiates a relationship other than what was previously outlined by the therapy setting.
Both interviewees have identified problems surrounding dual relationships. One social worker, while working as a child protection social worker, in which he sought to work in partnership with parents to protect their children. However, in acting in the best interest of the child, he entered a conflictual relationship with the parents. The second interviewee referred to remaining respectful and practicing good communication skills within the relationships. Burnout is a form of emotional exhaustion. Job burnout is a state of physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion combined with doubts about your competency and the value of your work. Burnout is a process rather than a condition. It moves through each of its stages in a sequence.
When asked about experiencing burnout, one of the social workers identified a story as follows. I once suffered burnout when working as a duty social worker in child protection in London. I was given some time off and then the management changed the duty system so that one person did not carry all the work. Subsequently, I ended up with too much work and became overloaded. A contributory factor to this was that I was willing to take on cases that appeared to only need minimal intervention so as to avoid them going on a waiting list. When asked about how he dealt with this, he said, quote, "Supervision was crucial. I learned to say no and not assume responsibility for everything that needed to be done. Learning that you may not save the world or be the solution to all the problems you meet is a lesson well learned."
Self-care includes any intentional actions you take to care for your physical, mental, and emotional health. Gilroy, Carroll, and Murrah claim that the key to burnout prevention lies in the establishment of self-care. Self-care embraces mindfulness and compassion towards ourselves. These qualities allow us to develop an effective presence to the suffering of our clients.
Self-care is unique to every individual. One interviewee told us of how he practices deep breathing before he goes to sleep to calm down from the day, thus letting go of any stresses and worries, whereas the other interviewee said he goes for walks every day. This allows him to have a clear head and relaxes him.
When asked what they wish they had learned in college, both professionals agreed that working in the real world is much more complex than role play and textbook exercises. One believed the most important aspect of his work and what he wished he had learned a thorough knowledge of is law and policy.
In conclusion, even though both professionals are social workers, they are working in different fields. This resulted in them having different experiences surrounding the same overall theories and concepts. For example, their responses to burnout, dual relationships, and threshold concepts.